International Paystar logger, obviously from the crumpled box, you can tell that. It was assembled at one time. I think what I'm going to call this is the Great Falls Logging Company truck, and this particular one is called Humpty Dumpty because he took a great fall. A lot of pieces have been broken off, mainly the tractor part. I've had to do a lot of assembly. You missed out on an hour or so of reassembly. But whenever I do one of these rebuild projects, and I've done several now, probably 6 or 8, I start by taking apart and figuring out what are the pieces that I can remove to make it easier to repaint it the way I want it to be. So I have removed the tires and wheels from the trailer part so that I can paint it black. Ready to be reassembled now. I just have to put, all this needs really is obviously the tires and the tail lights here on the back, and there's a license plate that goes in the middle, and I think that's what's in here. Yep, that's what's in that bag. So that's ready to be rebuilt. What's not so ready for rebuilding yet is the tractor and the cab. Let me pull the cab out here. So, yeah, big reveal. Here's the cab. The cab's not too bad. And there's all the tires and pieces that I have removed so far, or that were removed previous to my getting it. So I have removed the chrome from the bumper and the what do you call it, the moose guard, we call them up in Maine. I've removed the chrome from that so that I'm going to paint that. What I would like to do with the rest of the cab and superstructure here is paint it probably red. I don't know why red, but that's what I want to paint it. The tough thing obviously is going to be that the windows are all in place. So I will have to figure out how I'm going to mask the glass. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. I think I'll just put masking tape over it and then take my X-Acto blade and cut around. I don't think it'll be that hard. The most difficult thing is going to be removing the chrome pieces that are on here and not breaking anything in the process. As you can see, the horn here broke off. I removed that one. The clearance lights over here on the sides both broke off. One of them is in the box, one of them is lost. Unfortunately, the seller, when he shipped this package to me, just put this box into another box and left all these pieces and parts to rattle around inside the original Ertl box. And what that did is allowed some of the teeny tiny little pieces. Well, first of all, he didn't pack any of these assembled pieces with anything to protect them. So I'm sure that things that might have been on here might have fallen off in the rattling around in the post office. The other thing was that little teeny tiny parts can find their way out and get shaken out, and they did. I found some in the outer box. Some were underneath the packing material, some were in the flaps of the box. A word to the wise, if you're selling on eBay, pack loose parts into Ziploc bags. And I even had one seller was really kind enough to put the entire box, what was that one? That was the Revell VW bus. He put that in a big huge Ziploc bag so that nothing fell out. Really helpful to prevent and prevent the loss of some of these little teeny tiny parts, like the grab handle that goes there. I think I have that someplace. There's a couple of pieces that my wife found on the floor. Not my fault that they weren't protected and kept from falling on the floor. They were so tiny, I don't know where they go. It's going to take me a while to find the location. But anyways, I lost the clearance light, one of them. And what else? There's one piece that's kind of important. I'm missing one of the wheel hubs, or one of the wheels or rims for the front. That's going to be really tough one to replace, I think. So here's the chassis of the tractor, and this came to me with the headache rack. Let's see if I can get that up. The headache rack was completely broken off. This was broken off. This was broken off. I removed the tires. I couldn't get one of them off, so that one's masked back here. Luckily, a lot of the pieces were not well glued, especially the chrome pieces, so I was able to remove them. The cab obviously was broken off, and there's a piece on the back here. I don't know how this is going to mount or how well this is going to mount, but hopefully it will. And likewise the fenders, I think there's a mounting piece for this missing. I'm not sure how that's going to ride when it's done. Yeah, there's some pieces back in here that are missing. So I guess it's going to have to ride on that inner fender well there. I get glued on there. It'll glue across the top here of the radiator. So there's that. The headache rack was broken off. So because it was broken off, see if I can get in here close. Hopefully that's focusing in right here. I've reinforced the broken pieces or broken sections right there to strengthen that a bit. You can see how this whole panel here broke off, and I've glued it back on. This is all going to be repainted black, the whole thing, top to bottom, stem to stern. The engine is supposed to be blue. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I think what I'll do to start with is just paint it black, and can't be anything but an improvement over the orange. Luckily, the front suspension is in pretty good shape. You can see I put some reinforcements in there. This part over here broke off, so this wheel was completely loose. But, you know, the steering still works on it, and it's a little bit off, but you can see the reinforcings I put in there, styrene. You can see it's I don't know, what is that, caster. This wheel over here is a little bit off. Oh well. Can't be perfect. When you're doing these rebuilds, I find you have to get to a point and say, okay, that's good enough. And so the main thing here at this point is going to be, I wanted to show this because I'm ready to paint it. Obviously the tire's masked off. So I'm ready to slobber that with lots of black spray. I should use a spray can for that. I usually use an airbrush. Oh, I think I do have some spray black. Here's all the wheels I bagged up. Here's some of the small pieces that I bagged up. This bag came with it. These parts were bagged. The chrome pieces, extra chrome pieces, tail lights, and things like that. You can see there's even, right now, there's a couple of loose pieces in here. Oh no, that's a piece of styrofoam from the packing, the box packing. Oh, another thing that was missing was the instruction sheet, but I was able to find an instruction manual online and download it and print it out. So I have instructions for it. Oh, something else I need to paint is this exhaust stack. That's going to have to wait. That's going to need a little bit of cleaning up. This was probably, I think this was dated 1976 on the copyright date on something in the kit. So it did come with the decal sheet and it unused. I'm now ready to start reassembling this International Paystar 5000 logging truck. I, as you can tell, painted it red. I had to remove all the details, all the chrome, and so I've started reattaching the chrome details after it's now painted red. The paint is float quill, standard testers, 1/4 ounce red, whatever color that is. And there's the fenders. I think at this point I'm ready to mount the fenders. The issue is that there's supposed to be 2 tabs here that mount to that point on the frame. Can you see it? And obviously they're broken off, so I'm going to need to scratch build something to attach. And that's not going to be difficult. I'll just get a piece of styrene. The other thing I'm working on, scratch building, is that on the cab here, I have the horns. The wipers have already been reassembled, and the blades painted black. What I am missing, I have the mirrors. The logging truck is finally complete. There she is. I tried to make it dirty without getting overloaded. I think that most loggers like to keep their trucks clean. They just have to drive it in the dirt. So what I tried to do was show the cab clean and the wheels and chassis as being used, shall we say, muddy, dirty. See, the back of the cab has some grunge on it, the sides don't. I haven't found any license plate to put on the trailer though. That's a problem. One of these days. I decided to put air and electrical lines on the trailer. The one problem I had was that in reality what they do is these are flexible and they push them back so that they don't get pinched when they're put up on the headache rack there. You can see that the cables will get pinched in that situation. So what they do is they have them flexible hoses and they push them back down. That also allows them to vary the length of the trailer. But due to modeling constraints, it is what it is. I made it fixed in position. I used little HO scale lifting rings from these locomotives. There's 3 each spot on the spar there. Now, unfortunately, the engine cover doesn't fit very well, and I think that has a lot to do with the fenders. They really weren't set right. I did glue them in place with the little piece of plastic that I put in there to replace the broken off pieces, but they're still not in exactly the same location on both sides, and I don't think they're in exactly the right spot. But anyways, another thing I noticed, though, by the way, is I think on the kit, these are supposed to be going vertically from all the prototype photos I've seen out there on the internet. I think on the kit they go horizontally, and there's a little nub up here and a little nub down there, and there's 2 holes, and it's only going to go one way. So I carved the nubs off and glued it on vertically the way it's supposed to be. So I can get here we go. Get the hood off, and there's the engine. And all its blueness. One thing I realized after I got this all painted red was that the inside of the cab is orange. So there it is. You can see the dirt and grime on top of the fenders. I just did that with powdered pastels, powdered chalk, and I just grinded on with a old paintbrush and then put some clear finish over it. In this case, I think I used dull coat, Tester's dull coat. And what I'm going to try to do now, without shaking things too much, wish me luck on that, is lift the truck up and show you the chassis. There we go. So there's the chassis. Again, I used dull coat on the underside, but you can see a lot of gloss on the engine. I didn't mean for that to happen, so it goes. The exhaust was a bit of a pain getting this pipe into place. I ended up cutting it off quite a bit shorter. It goes up inside of the muffler, but I had to cut it shorter because it kept pushing the muffler, the two halves of the muffler apart as I tried to get it into position. So there's the truck as it would look if it had a rollover. We won't do any more of those, I hope. Notice the lettering on the cab. I got this truck on eBay after it had taken a Great Fall and it was in pieces and parts. So I figured Great Falls Logging Company would be a good name for it. Those are just dry transfers. And since it had a Great Fall, of course, the truck had to be known as Humpty Dumpty. And that's just something I downloaded off the internet and mounted on a piece of thin plastic. So there she be. Thank you for taking a look at my video. Oh, you can see also, I didn't mention it, but the box. I spent a little bit of time pressing it and getting the worst of the creases out of it. So there's what it looks like now. It's not perfect, but with an iron on a moderate heat and a little bit of water sprayed on it, it took a bunch of the creases out of it anyways. It's not so crumpled. And oh, another thing I just remembered. I was looking through some of my earlier videos on this build and noticed that the passenger side wheel, I really should have spent more time fixing that. It looks pretty bad. I'm obviously going to have to display it from this side. Even on this side, it looks like it's a little bit bow-legged. Or is it knock-kneed? Whichever one. Can't let it get into the sun. So anyways, thank you for viewing my video on this International Paystar by Ertl. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up down below. And if you'd like to see more, leave some comments, suggestions, questions, and subscribe, please. Thank you very much. And by the way, I do read all comments and don't necessarily respond to all of them, but I do read them all. Thank you for viewing.